doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. I mean, first of all, thanks for like having us, recommending the Prospect Wizard and having me inject it because it's been great. I already had like a lot of like similar systems in place, like for
Uh-huh.
opt-ins, but this gives them that chance to like to text to communicate, which I think in the modern day and age is like almost like it's become almost a primary form of communication now
Yeah.
because picking up the phone and dialing is not really like for younger millennials and Gen Zs like younger than that, it's not really a thing.
No, exactly. And so maybe back up a step and tell, because there's going to be. I want two things to come out of this very brief chat, as I mentioned earlier. The first thing is like, okay, if people are on the fence on trying this thing, because Integrity Square wants to help, right? Like, hopefully
Right.
they'll pick up the mantle and kick the tires. And the second thing is for like existing users, how they could potentially use it even more effectively. So
Yep.
maybe back up a step and tell people about, Upfit and your academy and, where you sit in the infrastructure so they get an idea of who you are.
Yeah. So my name's Wes. I'm the owner, operator, co-founder of Upfit Training Academy, and we're a really unique program that focuses on small group and one-on-one training. But we primarily focus on small group. Really, we consider that the graduate level of training. So when people have failed in one-on-one or they've failed in large group, it's for a number of reasons. And one, our coaching staff, everybody's got a degree in exercise science, and they're highly credentialed, all former athletes too. So, we've lived, eat, sleep, slept, and breathed it. But at the same time, we pair in, individualized training. We coach nutrition on a one-on-one basis, and everybody goes through our nutrition curriculum. And then finally, we basically have a system for accountability too. And really that community aspect of that group environment, plus the individualization of one-on-one is really what makes us different.
Yeah.
And then so, from like, from the Prospect Wizard side and from like a lead gen standpoint, like I had a lot of systems in place already where I was doing Google ads, Yelp ads, Facebook, Instagram. And, I've done the gambit of like, landing pages, opt-ins, calendars, and et cetera. And, that's a long process to get somebody with a lot of clicks to eventually reach a person, all right, and have a conversation, because really conversations will get your prospects to eventually become members. And,
Yep.
in terms of like dumbing it down, the Prospect Wizard's been great because they can literally just text to get service. And
Right.
then the way that it's set up, it's so, it's genius because, it's direct to my cell phone or, a number of my coaches. And then, first person to respond owns the conversation. And so it's funny that you were asking before about like basically best practices, and I've actually cleaned it up over time.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, so like we like to try to reach people in a way where like the way they reach out to us is the way we reach out to them, but we want to keep it like low hanging fruit. And so if they're texting, best way to get back to them isn't necessarily a call because, for a number of reasons. Like I said, your millennials, your Gen Zs, they're kind of just used to getting like text service, whether that's on like, the Best Buy website or, you name it. Most companies have that already. And so, we have it too now. And so we text them back immediately with there's a quick blurb that we just copy and paste. Hey, we're the top rated, small group and one-on-one coaching program in New York for fat loss and muscle gain, known as, yeah. And then I go into, do you have a moment to speak right now or later into the day in order to, see whether this is a good fit? So number one, we nail down a time to chat, because you eventually got to get them on the phone, right?
Sure.
But we get that because that's easy for them to do. And then the next one I just go into to take advantage of their attention while we're messaging is, hey, are you working on fat loss or muscle gain?
Uh-huh.
You basically just like, you're moving them into the conversation of
Yeah.
I'm coaching you now, regardless of whichever one they choose. And it's an easy answer, right? I type fat loss, I type muscle gain, it takes 10 seconds.
Right.
And so then fantastic, we specialize in either or, both basically. And then I say, let me share some, one, I share an Instagram video that is a reel style highlight of somebody who's fits their demographic, and has like snippets of them training, et cetera. And then that'll also get them to engage on our Instagram, where they'll see tons of content. And then I also send them the About Us page from our website. And, here you'll learn more about, our program, our coaching program, and what makes us different. And so by the time I get them on the phone at our scheduled time,
they're excited.
Yeah. They know, like, and trust us. And the next thing is just, hey, let's find the right program for you and set you up on a membership. And then, the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, so that's all done. You don't do that. That's not a drip, right? You didn't set up an automation. You're just getting them to yes through your cell or through the computer. Yeah. I love it.
It's crazy, but because I've been doing, using like different methods of strategies of digital advertising over the years.
Right.
And it's only recently that I've actually developed this system because I am working with another agency and who's actually like the volume of leads that I filter through now is just so high at this point that I've got to figure out a way, the pressure's on, I got to optimize the system really fast.
Yeah.
And so, now like the texting is almost like, hey, I'm qualifying and setting the appointment to chat.
Right.
But then, if they don't meet the qualifications, then we don't even really get to a point where I have to spend time on the phone with them because they don't really they're not a good fit. Right. And that happens at any level.
How often do they, and I know people listening to this are going to ask about price. How do you address the price issue? Because you're not $9.99. You're up there. How do you address that?
Yeah. So well, first of all, I have the pricing right on our website. At least, our brand, we're real transparent with that, we're very focused on just delivering like the best experience possible. And that means like no shady business. So, if they do ask for the cost, I will just direct them towards our programs page, which is done pretty well. They can see the chart costs. And then I say, usually I'll still segue into the call. And when I speak to them on the phone, then I'll help them navigate through it. And then we do, in our program, we do offer like payment options as well. And so that the way they can finance it and make it palatable to engage in a 3-month program, even if they need to pay that down in 6 months.
Right. Exactly. And now, as far as like the workflow, obviously you do the training too, because you're a boutique. So you do some of the training, your partner does a lot of the training. Talk about like how it works for you internally. Do you have another staff member on this? Is it just you and him? What does that look like?
Yeah, great question. And so this agency that I'm working with has kind of coached me through this as well. And really, like the scalability came when I actually got off the gym floor. So I actually don't coach classes anymore. Okay. I still do some one-on-ones just because these people can't get away from me, and I charge them an arm and a leg, and they still want to do it. You
got a velvet rope, man. Velvet rope yourself.
So
good for you.
I might maybe be in like less than 10 one-on-ones in a week, but the rest of my day is essentially like I triage a lot of like the sales calls, and I do a lot of the back end and a lot of like the customer success, and I work towards like fulfillment, right? And so that's kind of the system that we're on now. However, in the beginning when we first did have this system, I did put Paul, my co-founder, Brian, one of our head coaches, and we've got 2 other coaches on staff as well. I did put them in this system, but what I noticed was because I was just generally more available, I tended to basically just take it on. And so, this system works really well because text messages, I can respond to a text message like almost instantly. And so, that text message of, hey, the quick introduction, which is a copy and paste, and then do you have a moment later today or tomorrow to speak to make sure that this is a good fit, like that, like takes 30 seconds to respond to, and you guys know like response rate is like the most important thing in terms 100%. Of engagement. So I get that out ASAP, and then that gets the ball rolling. And once we've talked through like, hey, you working on fat loss or muscle gain, they've invested a little bit more in that interaction. And so I've noticed that just increases the engagement like tenfold.
Right. Absolutely. And what talk a little bit about your tech stack. Do you Do you have like mind body for your CRM?
Yeah.
You know, what I don't believe you do anything with the Zapier integration. I'm pretty sure you just leave this as a standalone, right? So what systems are you using and how are you using them?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I do have other automations in place. I have MindBody with the branded web. We're on like their ultimate, which is like their upper tier.
Yep.
And so I'm able to build out like mailing campaigns. We have automations that drip out to recapture and engage people who, let's just say, fell through the cracks and didn't actually eventually get on a call, book an appointment, come in, etc. So I do have MindBody for that. I do use another CRM software as well that I'm kind of weaning off of, Referizer, which had two-way texting, but it didn't have that widget option. And the thing, so I'm coming off of that and I'm migrating everything over to MindBody Ultimate. But MindBody even had they acquired another business that was a two-way texting platform as well. However, however, it's not as good.
Nope. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm not going to give him any press. And I know the guy, and he, MindBody gobbled him up, and the founder of this particular system knows who you're talking about too, and he took it to the next level. And as you see, there are so many more things that he's added that just forget about it.
Yeah, and so it is nice to have that on MindBody, but I don't even use it, So in terms of
charge an arm and a leg for it too as an add-on. It's really expensive,
It's actually, it came up as a part of like my bundle, so to speak.
Oh, okay.
But that's how they basically pay for it on there, and I get it, right? We're all trying to do this. But so in terms of just like ROI and like getting engaged with the prospect wizard, I'd say for anybody who's driving traffic to their page, Google, Yelp, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. If you're driving traffic to your page, this is phenomenal because you're going to get a lot of those people who are not going to pick up the phone, like millennials, Gen Zs, that just like, that's not like the natural path of things anymore. It doesn't even, some people don't even know what the hell a touch tone phone is or rotary.
Rotary, forget it. No
way. So they're used to texting. Everybody's on their cell phone, and this is just so easy because we'll get it to our cell phones as well. And I mean, I'm on my phone all day, makes it seamless.
So that you actually addressed a final question. I actually two. The first part is, do you find that you're using this more on the app or on the desktop, or is it like 50-50?
I'm probably more on the app. Yeah.
More on the app. Okay, more on the app. The second question is, you actually have the phone call feature enabled, right? Mm-hmm. Which allows the person to call, and you get that whisper feature. You have a web lead, whatever. What percentage of people using the widget, give or take, are texts, and what percentage are calls? Is it like 80-20, 90-10, 70-30?
Good question. I mean, it's probably somewhere like 90-10, or maybe even like, maybe one out of every 15 call. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think when you see a widget like that, like, like calling is an option, but like, it's just like it's a lower barrier of entry for me to just drop a text, whether that means they're going to respond now or in 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. And that text conversation, everybody's busy, especially like, we're in New York, especially. So for people that are on the go, they see this during their lunch break, they pop a message, and then they go back to work, or like, they go to the bathroom, they're like, scrolling through Instagram, they see us on an ad, pop on the webpage, I'll send these guys a text message, they'll get back to me. It's so easy, so much easier. I don't know. Even so, I have aside from the prospect wizard, I have a phone number on the website. I have like the number people can call. Like that never happens.
And the contact us form, not so much, right?
The people, like, we do have the contact us info. I say people opt in more than they call, for sure.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And what about the, again, I'm nerding out here on the marketing side, because every new person that comes in, I tell them about the tagging feature, bare minimum, at least tag member and prospect. And, we have clubs that really drill down and really get into the granularity of it, like the Atlantic Club, I sent you that interview, pickleball interest, tennis interest, whatever. How do you, or do you, I haven't dug into your portal in a while, do you use the tagging feature at all?
So I don't use the tagging feature in the Prospect Wizard. What I do though is when contacts get imported into MindBody, they are initially coming in as prospect until they have an appointment booked, and they have to have a purchase as well. So until there's a transaction, they're still labeled as prospect. So I use MindBody for my categorization.
Right.
So I do not do that on the Prospect Wizard. Yeah. Sorry, Dave.
No, that's fine. Like that, you wouldn't be the first, but you actually are doing importing and exporting, right? You're bringing those out.
Yeah.
How do you get them out? Like, how do you get them into MindBody?
So honestly, it's a manual input. Yeah. And because the thing is, if I am having conversations with people and I would say right now, generally, maybe one out of every 4 conversations is actually like they're like qualified.
Gotcha. Okay.
At least the way that I'm funneling traffic onto my page.
Right.
So I don't need to add these unqualified people into my prospects list, because if I do lookalike audiences and my other ads, it's actually going to screw things up.
Yeah.
So I really only input the people that are actually going to convert into meetings.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, because you can handle it. Like there's a high price point here. There's you only want to get those people for the bigger clubs. I got 1 or 2 clubs that flipped on the Zapier integration, and they would do there's an export to like a CSV file, right? And then they'll take that like once a week or something and then throw it into Club Automation or MindBody or whatever they're doing. But that's a pretty big list, it's for, we got bigger clubs that are doing the Zapier integration, but that makes sense. So you're sort of self-segmenting, if you will.
Right. Yeah. And that's worked for now. But if we, get to a point where, it's a lot more volume based, and we want to cast a wider net, I could absolutely see like exporting like CSV files and then just migrating that in to our CRM, like MindBody or whatever CRM. Because like, I'll tell you right now, like so whoever's listening gets like a chance to like, get understanding of our size, right now, like, we over the past like 2 years, we've engaged with like the type of person that I'm talking about, 700 people. And so, that is compared to a big club, that's probably nothing.
Sure.
Right. But for like a small space that's 1,100 square feet, and then the gym floor is 680 square feet, it's actually a lot of people that we've like delivered a ton of value to. And so, so it makes sense for us to like really just hyper target our demo, especially if it would affect my, click-through rates and my conversions with my other ads too.
Right. And you have an agency, I mean, again, nerding out on marketing, right? You have an agency that does Google, Facebook, Instagram ads for you?
Yeah. Google, Facebook, Instagram, and then I do some Yelp too. It's funny because like, I like to look at it the same way that you would diversify like an investment portfolio.
Yeah.
It's, you've got, that's probably a bad analogy, but you've got penny stocks, and then you've got, the S&P like 500 or, the top 100. Some of it is lower costs, less, conversion, but some of it is, higher costs, slightly, I guess you could call more qualified.
Right.
A little bit of everything, and I think that like that sort of mix has worked well for us. And it's also worked well in keeping me really sharp too. Just as like a salesperson, you got to have the skills to be able to deal with all different sorts of people. And like, if you're in a bigger club, if your salespeople are getting spoiled with like leads that, are really expensive and they're really good, when you move into a situation where like, hey, we're taking a different like outreach strategy, and some of these people that are going to come in or reach out are going to be a little like earlier in the purchasing process and shopping process, your salespeople aren't going to be trained on how to navigate.
Yep. Yep. No, that's a very, very good point. And one last question here. Do you use at all, and a lot of people don't, surprisingly, but I get it. There's a broadcast feature in there, right? That would allow you to, do a mass text. Do you have any campaigns, or have you ever used that to like potentially try and wake people back up again? Anything like that?
I have not, and that would be a really good feature that I can easily just like, so I have email automation set up through MindBody, and I have, for people that are opted in through text, the text version will go through as well. But no, I could literally easily just like probably copy and paste that, and then just send that out through the prospect wizard as well.
Yeah, something to think about, but again, be careful with that, because as you're well aware, less is more. Right. So when it comes to any kind of SMS broadcast, you always remind them, hey, this is Upfit Academy, but be aware that less is more with that. But it's a powerful thing if it's used correctly,
Right.
And the last question is, do you have any sort of hacks or tips, techniques, whatever, for people who are, just getting their feet wet with this, or maybe suggestions, anything like that?
I'll just go back to what I said before, is like use that, that's like, in other businesses that they have like somebody who is like, the first barrier, and they call them like the setter. And use that system that I talked about, which is just, hey, just once they reach out, speed is key. Like speed is the key to success. So get back to them right away with like have a generic like copy and paste, or even set up an autoresponder. And then that way they will be more invested in the communication, because they would have gone back and forth a couple times. And then send them some information. Don't leave it on you. Leave it on them to have to make like the next step. And then that way the people that want to really like convert and come and they're interested, you'll be able to differentiate those people.
Yeah. And you nailed it. Did I tell you the story of Sarah from the Atlantic Club? Shout out to Sarah. Okay, real quick. The prior interview we did with Sarah, the sales manager of the Atlantic Club, she told a story literally to illustrate your point. She actually called someone, right? And it was a long conversation, because it was a pricing, and there's a lot of pricing things going on at the Atlantic Club, lots of different packages. She called this woman, and the woman was like, can we text, because I'm at work, and isn't this what texting is for? And she was not nasty about it, but Sarah's like, sure, I just didn't want to, she's like, no, it's okay, I'm at work. So she hangs up the phone, and they continue the conversation via text. So I tell people, like, there's a lot of hard chargers, closers, they're like, they want to get on the phone right away. I'm like, dude, do not get on the phone. This person texted you. It could be a turnoff. I almost feel like I haven't had that happen recently, but I've definitely had that happen in the past, especially if the conversation starts to get a little bit lengthier and it is the middle of the day. People can't cut out for that long. But if I would add on to what you would just ask about, like like tips and tricks, hacks for like the person who's just getting involved, is also like you said, less is more. Be economical with your words if you're going to text, and same thing goes with on the phone, right? Be directive, and you're leading them towards like Valhalla. We're not having 30-45-minute conversations with people, because if it needs to be that long, you're getting off on a tangent. You should probably break it up into like another call. Because we're getting distracted. Either they are or we are. Yeah, exactly. That's a great tip. Succinctness is key, especially in this industry. But man, congratulations on all your success.